Yeah, hi David, morning.
Morning.
Some of the reaction to last night has been really good from the press and fans. Can I just read you what The Guardian says this morning? This performance was a reminder of just how brilliant David Moyes has been for West Ham, and that it was impossible to tell that Leverkusen were Europe's most informed side. I mean, how pleasing is that to hear?
Well, I think the praise goes to the players for how well they performed. The first half performance last night was terrific. But I have to say, I think their performance away from home was very, very good as well. I'm only really repeating myself, which I said last night, that I thought the players over the two legs done a brilliant job against an incredibly good side. But unfortunately, we went out. The draw, sometimes in any cup competition, you need the draws to be favourable for you. Our draw against Leverkusen was one of the toughest we thought we could get in the quarter-finals. But I think that over the 3 years the quarter-finals we've had, that's probably, well, it has been the toughest game, and it's been the only one we've gone out on in the 3 years.
Yeah, and can I read you just one reaction from one fan on social media who says before 2021 West Ham had never reached the group stage of a European competition. 3 years later we played 37 European fixtures in 13 countries, winning 70%, scoring 69 goals and lifting a trophy. Beyond proud, the best years I've ever had as a football supporter.
Well, that's great to hear, isn't it? And it's actually, when you hear it like that, it's a brilliant statistic, especially for West Ham as a football club, because it's been something which, when they moved to the new stadium, it was one of the things that the owners wanted. They promised European football for the supporters, and they've been able to deliver that now.
It was a special night, David. I mean, you are out of Europe, but how much do you want to be back in Europe next year with West Ham with 5 games left?
We would love to do it again. We really would. But you have to remember, last year we done it by winning a trophy. It wasn't our league position last year. Our league position this year's improved greatly. You know, we've been challenging nearly all season. We've been round the top 7 or 8 all season. Obviously, we know the level of the games we've got. We know the level of the opponents who are challenging as well for those European positions. So it'll be tough, but you know, it's another year where we've played probably 10 or 12 games more than most other teams as well. That's like a quarter of the season. But we've enjoyed it. If we can get back to Europe again, I think it would be great.
Yeah, you gave so much physically and emotionally last night. How much is left for Sunday?
Well, that's football. You have to get back, and you never know sometimes. It's I've said many times that I think it's a difficult programme when you're in the conference or the Europa League. I think it's a difficult programme for any of the teams who are in that. But we've now done it for 3 years. We've probably had 30 odd games, as you've mentioned there, on Thursday, Sundays. So we have to try and get ready for one more Sunday game after a Thursday encounter.
There are 5 games left, but it's tough, isn't it? 3 of them are away. You know, Palace, Chelsea and Man City. It's going to be tough getting back in, isn't it?
Yeah, tough to get the points. But we've been in there all season, so we have to try and do it again. We have to try and win. We have to start by winning the first game. That's the only way I look at it. You would try and win your next game and see what we get after that. But obviously, we always knew we had a relatively tough end to the season.
Agurd came off last night. Will he be okay for Sunday?
I've not had a chance to assess him yet, and the staff. Him and Dinos are both getting checked. We'll see how they are for the weekend.
What is Agurd's problem? Can you tell us?
He rocked his ankle. He went over on his ankle.
The good news is, though, that Paqueta, Emerson are available, and maybe 2 Calvin Phillips and Areola as well.
Yeah, hopefully we will. But again, when I get to see the players and get them working with the medical staff, we'll find out exactly how they are. Obviously, the 2 boys were suspended, so they will come back into contention, and I'll check the other 2 injuries with Calvin and Areola. You've
been involved in some spectacular games at Selhurst the last few years. Last season it was 4-3, you had a couple of 3-2 wins there. They've been shootouts. What are your memories of these games at Palace?
I think going to Palace is always a difficult encounter. I think all the managers would say the same. It's never an easy place to go and get a result. They've got a terrific support at Palace, and but it's another tough game. And but the Premier League every week you would say the same. You know, you would talk big about what the opposition are, because obviously the level in the Premier League is so high.
Yeah, just on last night, Mick had quite a lot to say about the officials and said that West Ham were playing against 14. Are you fearful of UEFA sanction after what he said last night?
I don't really want to talk too much. I think you journalists, you reporters would be the people who would be best to say it, because I don't think there's any point in me talking about it, or even the players, because it was there for all to see last night.
Yeah. Can you just give us some sense of how the players are feeling this morning?
I've not had a chance to see them yet. I've got used before the players are in yet.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem. Cheers.
Just going back to team moves, how is
George Earthy's great. He was watching training the other day. He looks fine, but obviously we're following all the sort of protocols required.
Could he be back in contention for this?
No, not with the injury, the head injury protocols. No.
We obviously saw Jared Bowen come back into the starting lineup yesterday, played the entire game, had such a big impact. How has he come through the game in terms of his fitness levels, not played?
Yeah. Well, I've not had a chance to see Jared yet since last night either, so I'll see them when they come in a bit later on. But look, Jared's always quite robust, but I know that he was really touch and go, and might have thought that maybe Jared was always playing. He was really, really close to not playing. He took an injection as well to play last night, so from that point of view, we'll need to see how he is and how he reacts this morning.
It must be a big boost for you knowing that with the final games coming up that he is available to play, and of course, as you mentioned already, you've got Emerson and Lucas coming back into this.
Yeah, no, it's a big boost to get. You always want your big players. I mean, look, if we look at the two games, I didn't have Jared in Leverkusen for the first game, and in the second game we didn't have Paqueta. So these boys are really important. If we can get them all available, it gives us probably a better chance of getting a result. But I couldn't fault MD last night on their performance, and I think the effort and the endeavour the players showed was probably the thing which we were all pleased about.
I interviewed Emerson and Lucas earlier on this week about the Palace game, and they talked about how Palace beat them coming away last season. Of course, the reverse fixture was 1-1 back in December. Why do you think they've proved such tricky opposition beginning of last season and a bit?
I think they've got good players. I think they've got some really talented individuals. So I think what happens is, I think through the Premier League you can always have difficult games. There's some teams we've taken good points from, and there's other teams you don't do so well with. It happens sometimes. We've got to hope that we can go and put in a good performance. But Crystal Palace have got some very good players. Hi there.
As mentioned, of course, the draw last month in December with Palace, though you could argue against a different team now, should be facing Ward-Prowse. First time as a Palace manager. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts ahead of that game?
Well, we came up against, it was the Eintracht Frankfurt manager when we played them in the semi-final, so I'm well aware of it. It's good to see that he's come out and he's come over to the Premier League. He's a very good manager. So they had a brilliant win last week against Liverpool, which very difficult to do, but I think Liverpool had a game on a Thursday night as well before they played, so which can, as I said before, can have some effect on it. So we'll need to go there and we need to win now. We want to try and win all the games. It's hard to put any different spin on it. That's exactly what we need to do, and we'll try and go there and get a result.
And maybe not just for table position, but would it be a very helpful kind of mental lift and mood boost to get a win Sunday after a couple of recent losses?
I don't see it that way. I just see it as that we're at a stage of the season. We've been playing very well for the majority of the season, and I think that winning's always a good mood boost. But I think the players are in a good place. They're pleased with their performance. We've just had a quarter-final in Europe, so hopefully they should go in there with lots of confidence and positivity with the way they played last night.
And I mentioned the news as well. I'm not sure if you've seen yesterday that the FA Cup replays have now been scrapped from the first round onwards. I wonder what your thoughts were on this from the Premier League team side.
Well, I think that the football schedule is too full. I think there's too many games. I think something has to give in football somewhere, or you're going to find that it's going to be very difficult. I'm not saying that this was the thing that had to give, but somewhere along the line, I think something will have to loosen up a little bit to give the players a little bit more room.
I think another controversial change has been the final now take place
Again, it's more to do with the amount of games, the fixturing. You know, there's just so much football on and demand of football. You have to also put into this as well. I think next year there's no winter break either, which we've tried to introduce maybe in the last few years in the Premier League. There's no winter break last year, so you have to start thinking about the way it's going. There's a squeeze on everything from everybody, whether it be FA, whether it be the Premier League, whether it be UEFA, whether it be FIFA with bigger world club championships. There's a squeeze on football all around the world at the moment, and the dates are getting harder to fit in.